Hi, everybody. This is Pam, and it's Friday afternoon, and it's time for my wee podcast chat. And tonight, or this evening, it's 5 o'clock in Montana. This evening, I'm going to have a wee chat about organic versus not organic. So there's sort of controversy around the benefits of organic versus normal pesticide-ridden food, and I just sort of don't really understand why there is so much controversy, to be quite honest, because to me, it sort of makes sense to me that the chemicals and things are what's not good for you in your diet. So in the pesticides have been blamed for a multitude of sins, and there are certain foods that they say do not eat these foods unless you can eat them organically, because a lot of people say, well, organic's so much more expensive, and etc. etc. So there are the foods that in the research that I've done that you don't eat, not that you do eat purely organically: apples, cucumber, grapes, beans, spinach or chard, strawberries, squash, and cantaloupe or rock melon to me. So apparently the chemicals are absorbed into those foods, and it makes sense, really, things like grapes, apples, strawberries, that sort of stuff. But, like rockmelon, you'd think or cantaloupe, you'd think that's a fairly hard skin that chemicals wouldn't really be absorbed into that. But they've found as much as 25 chemicals in some of these foods, and you think about that, multiplied by the chemicals that are in the air, the chemicals that you use in actually cooking the stuff, the chemicals that you use in washing your clothes, and on it goes. So they are the foods that we advise, or are advised, that you do make sure that you do only eat those organically. The other thing that's really interesting, I think, is eggs. Like eggs. Obviously, you think, well, organic free-range eggs are going to be the best ones for you. But apparently in America, oftentimes organic eggs are required to be washed in chlorine, and then they coat them in oil. Like, why would you do that? The chicken's made a perfectly good barrier to help, and so so try and get more your local sort of farmers market or whatever eggs, if you can, that hasn't been tampered with, that the eggs, that the actual shell hasn't been tampered with. And so, you've got to look at what's actually in the outside of the yolk as well. That's really quite important, or the outside of the shell. When I make Moose, my dog, his own dinner, all organic as well, I might bloody add. So I make up this big pot of, doggy stew with all the organic vegetables and the organic meats, and then I put in some organic oats and some quinoa, and I put in some organic eggs, and then I actually grind up the actual egg shells, because they're really good for the calcium for your puppy as well, and for his bone growth and thing. I mean, this is meant to be a human thing, but I'm going to talk about my dog because I talk about my dog. That's just the way it is. So, which transfers into just as good for you and your family. Okay, he's my family. So putting your egg shells into your doggy gear if you cook for your dog, which is actually cheaper, I've found, to cook for Moose, and then I freeze some of it, and I put in containers for him, so that I cook for him once a week, sort of thing as well. So it's all good. So buying locally grown and seasonal vegetables and fruits is obviously a very good thing to do as well. So as long as they don't use pesticides and things, and often at farmers markets, that's why farmers markets, I think, have gone crazy lately or in the last few years, because you do actually get to talk to the farmer, you get to see him and make sure that he's got a personal hygiene level that you're happy with as well, and you know the area that you're living in. It's nice to support local people and look after your local farmers and things as well. So the other reason for decreasing the amount of chemicals and things that you're taking into your food is the toxic load that's actually in foods and the urinary pesticide levels that they've found in people who eat non-organics, increase in phosphorus, and they say that it's not all clinically proven, but studies, I think you can prove anything with studies, huh? To me, it just makes common sense. Like seriously, I look at things that pesticides have done to mankind now, and you think of they're proving that pesticides in your body, in foods and things particularly, have an effect on people with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Apparently pesticides decrease the IQ in children. Can you believe that? Asthma, obviously, early puberty and breast development in girls and in boys. Man boobs, yeah, I mean really. Where did man boobs come from? It's not just getting older. I mean kids and obesity in children and that sort of thing, and your leptin that's been interfered with from aspartame, which is one of my favourite subjects, talking about that crap. Don't, for God's sake, drink soda. Get rid of that, because it's bad. I mean, it's a neurotoxin. The American government used aspartame during the Gulf War as a neurotoxin, and then they allowed their people to drink it. I think it's criminal. But you've got to make informed decisions, in my humble opinion. Insulin resistance, obviously, as well. Your insulin. And just the actual shape of the molecular shape of a lot of these processed foods, and your sugars and your oils and that sort of thing. Like you still need sugar, you still need oils, but you've got good natural fructose in fruit, and you've also got what am I trying to think of? You've also got your herbs and things, and your natural for God's sake, stuff that makes you go poops. Anyway, it'll come to me in a minute. That you need to be able to process it, and not to get the spikes in your sugar levels and things, and that's what you're trying to get, is just to keep your body on an even keel. Okay, so I think that it's fairly obvious that chemicals and things do have a bad effect on you and your body, and try to keep as chemical free and using your organics and that sort of thing is a very important thing. And I still can't think of what I'm trying to think of with your foods, but it'll come to me. I'll put it on. I'll put it on later on when I tack this on. But anyway, so your pharmaceutical effects. If you stay fit and healthy, it's going to affect the pharmaceutical industry. Roughage. Jeez, I knew it would come to me. So roughage, you've actually got roughage in natural fruits and things as well. So you don't get the spikes in your insulin levels, and that's what I was trying to say. But anyway, so processed packaged foods, just try and keep away from processed and packaged food, and your foods that are in Costco and stuff, I mean, Costco's great. The reason that Costco can keep the costs and things down is because there's so much preservative and stuff, and that's not doing you any good at all. So try and keep away from that stuff. Try and keep with your organic stuff, and look after your bodies, and your body will look after you. Okay, have a great one. We'll talk soon. Bye.